Okay, can you guys hear me? All right, what's going on, everyone? Happy Monday. We're going to kick this off at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to give everybody a few minutes here to sign in. I'm running both Instagram Live and YouTube Live to try to go as live as we possibly can. So, fun fact, when I started MVP, my original vision was more along this concept, to give everybody a chance to come in, ask questions, and make it more like a traditional talk show. But as we've gone through the MVP process of creating the MVP show, we've seen a lot of pivots along the way. So that's been pretty cool. So I don't like these. I'm going to take these guys off. Okay. So we're going to try this again. We're getting ready to upgrade the equipment. Pretty excited about that. So let's talk. While we get people kind of joining in here, let's talk about the equipment itself. MVP started out with literally just my laptop, using YouTube as the sole platform, if you will, for getting this thing off the ground. Again, a minimal viable product is you have a concept, an idea, and you want to go the easiest way to try and test that this concept will work without putting a ton of money, a ton of capital, a ton of effort, a ton of resources, time, etc. into this. And that's what we did with the MVP. My hypothesis was this might be a cool topic to talk about. However, that was my opinion. So I wanted to reach out to everybody else, my friends, fans, followers, family, you name it, and ask you guys what you thought about the concept of MVP. It's been awesome. Like, we've had a phenomenal response to MVP, the topics. I've had a lot of you guys and gals reaching out, asking great questions about that initial phase of starting a business. When I meet a ton of people looking to start any type of business you could possibly imagine, it always circles back to the same problem. A lot of people are new, they don't know what they're doing, and they're very intimidated, right, by the process. When you're an entrepreneur, there is no boss. There's no one there to hold your hand. There's no one there to talk to you and help you along the way. That's your job. You're the entrepreneur. So it's a very foreign concept to get an idea off the ground. And again, very freaking intimidating. And I notice a lot of great people have incredible ideas. I mean, some of the craziest ideas I've ever heard, in a good way, that unfortunately go unnoticed because they're too afraid to let go of what they have. They're too afraid of change. They're afraid of the unknown. They don't know how to handle the unknown. They don't know how to structure themselves for the unknown. And that holds a lot of people back. So while there's a ton of amazing podcasts and shows and YouTube channels out there talking about, how businesses made their first $1 million, how they became, multi-millionaires, how their products got into Walmart and blew up. Those are incredible, and they're great to listen to. They're great to watch, and you will learn an absolute ton from those type of shows. But what I realized is there's a small segment that's not being tapped, and that is the beginning, right? How do you go from, holy shit, I have an idea, right, to now I'm holding a prototype? So that is the premise of the MVP show. And from the prototype, that's when the journey really, truly begins. You get it out to a customer, you get it in their hands, they're excited, they get to try it, they get to play with it, et cetera, and they tell you if they like it, they love it, they hate it, they want it, they don't want it. All important stuff, because then you move on to the next level and the next level and the next level. So the MVP, it's been awesome. Thank you guys and gals, everybody who's been giving us crazy great feedback. Things are getting exciting. We have some big stuff in the works for the show. We're evolving, okay? So just like the MVP process, we came in, we had a theory. I had a theory that this topic was going to be cool. I had a theory that you guys were going to like this. I'd get good feedback around it. And it's been exactly what I had hoped. Now, does it always work out like that? No. But this one has. So we're going to continue to build on this. It's going to be fun. And we're moving to the next level, okay? So I'm not going to spoil anything yet. But I highly recommend YouTube land. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you follow me. Instagram, that's you guys. If you don't follow the YouTube channel, you're going to want to do that. So subscribe, follow, all those above. And you will be the first to see the updates that are coming down the pipeline within the next probably week to 2 weeks, explaining what's going to happen to MVP next. The Minimal Viable Production Show with your host, this guy, Jesse Wolf. So today's show, again, is live. I would love it if you ask questions along the way. I see we got some followers here on the YouTube world. I see we got some followers coming in on the Instagram land. Ask questions along the way. So everybody, what's up? How are you guys doing? How are you guys? Thank you, everybody, again, for joining. I'm going to kick off today. And again, ask questions along the way. I'll try to pick them up as we go. But the one thing I want to talk about, I've already kind of mentioned, and that is being overwhelmed, right, with the initial phase of I have an idea and where do I start? It's a very, very common place to be, especially if you're a new entrepreneur. A seasoned entrepreneur, you have a system down. It's a routine. It's just like everything else in life. When you get repetitions in, you build a routine, okay? When you wake up in the morning, you have a routine. You probably wake up, use the bathroom, brush your teeth, take a shower, make your breakfast, and head out the door to work. It's a routine. Hopefully you work out in there somewhere, right? But everybody's routine is different. And we weren't told how to do that routine. And we had a rough idea, right, from growing up, whatever, but we form our own routines. That's the way entrepreneurship is, okay? So every time you have a new business idea, you need to have a plan or a routine of how you vet out these ideas. So one of the most common things I personally see and get emails on, and let's take a time out. On that topic, I love each and every one of you. Everybody that supports me, everybody that has these questions, everybody that's joining me right now, you're all here for the same reason. You either think I'm awesome, and I think you're awesome, and you're a good friend, family supporting me on my endeavors, or you have a business question or a combination of both, and you're generally interested in entrepreneurship and starting something. I wish I had more time and more of me to help each and every one of you individually. It's what I love doing. I love helping people. I love being there. I'm by no means a pro, right? Pro, quote unquote. I mean, there's people much better at entrepreneurship and starting businesses than me, but I think I'm okay at it. I think I'm pretty good. And I'm a creative, and that really helps me get, to where I need to be. But there's a challenge again. I would love to help each and every one of you. However, there's only one of me. So with this being said, in this quick delay, I am working on some items that can help more of you often on a bigger scale. I'm excited about this because what's happening is I tend to get a lot of the same questions. So I'm like, why don't I just package this and make it a resource for everybody to access as you go down your path. And there's really very specific phases along the way of an infant type startup, right? Going from that, oh my God, I had an idea last night, or why is nobody making this, all the way to, wait, there's a market for this, and this is how I make money, to the next phase of, well, let me develop my prototype or my game plan, my business plan, my war plan, whatever you want to call it. So more exciting news. We have some resources coming along the way that I think anybody out there with an interest in entrepreneurship and is new at this is really going to like. If either platform you guys are interested in something like that, let me know. What do you want to see in something like that? What information would you like in that resource? And, how would you like it delivered, right? Video, long format writing, let me know. But I think if it's almost like a library that you could just access whenever, it would answer a lot of people's questions that we get, repeated constantly. So back to the scheduled televised service. Okay, so now starting out, a lot of people come to me with being overwhelmed. Mainly the one I see constantly is they're overwhelmed with having too many ideas. And that is crazy as far as like a good thing, right? It's hard for some person to come up with one idea, but then there's on the other spectrum people that go, oh my God, well, I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ideas. And I don't know which one I want to go into. I don't know which one's going to work. That's okay. That's absolutely okay. And it's good because it's easier to kind of whittle down sometimes more ideas than not having a single idea at all. So maybe I'm going to write this down actually, because we're going off the riff here. This is why being live is fun. I'm going to write down a question of, I don't have an idea. How do I find one? And if you can hear the dog barking, I'm so sorry. It's my neighbor. And hey, we're live here. So everyone hang in there with me. Okay. How do I find one? So I'm gonna go back. We're gonna circle back to, I don't have an idea. How do I find one? You know what? Why don't we start there? That would make the most logical sense. I don't have an idea. How do we start there? I was going to talk about being overwhelmed and having too many ideas and how do we whittle that down. But let's start with, I don't have an idea. How do I find one? I get to talk about this topic often, and I love it. I really love it because I wasn't always so good at coming up with business ideas. I had to train my mind and my vision, if you will, on how to look at the world. So what happened was, as I was going through life, I would come across things and I'd be like, let's take this back scratcher, for instance, right? This back scratcher, it's great. My one complaint about it, the prongs are very dull. Okay, can you see that? And I'm using this as a real world example. And if anybody wants to fix this, I'm your first customer. They're dull. I think they could be maybe a little more intense. Yes, and by the way, I own a back scratcher. Someone gave this to me as a gift. I think my girlfriend actually, shout out girlfriend. And it's awesome. I actually play with it way more than I probably should. And it's really cool. However, the prongs are kind of dull. So through your shirt, I really don't feel it. Now, I'm not saying put daggers in there, but I mean, that's pretty hard to get a good scratch in there. And if you're built like me, a big bear, it's not doing the job. So where normal people would be like, oh, this product sucks. I, at a young age, discovered that, yeah, it does suck. Does anybody else make a better version? And then I would go look, and I'd be like, hey, nobody actually does make a better version. And then I'd go one step further and be like, why is nobody making a better version? Like, is it too dangerous? Is it too expensive? What's the reason for it? And what I started discovering at a young age was nobody really had thought of it or wasn't doing it or didn't think it was profitable enough, et cetera, et cetera. So I kind of turned into looking into my inner self and my own thoughts, if you will, to figure out how to make things better. And at a young age, I discovered I probably wanted to be an inventor. I always thought that was cool. I always thought that'd be something I'd want to be. And that's where I kind of, without even really realizing I was doing it, was figuring out how to make products cooler, better, et cetera, et cetera. So with that being said, you need to look at your daily life. You need to go through your life and do an audit and tell yourself, every time I think I have a problem with a product, stop and ask yourself a couple questions. How many times in your day, week, month, do you use something and you're disappointed by it? Okay? It's that simple. How many times have you been through a fast food drive-through and you're like, this food is mediocre, it could be way better. Here's what I would do differently. You don't even realize you're doing it. How many times have you bought something and you were let down because it wasn't what you expected? You could be doing something about that. Most of us just tend to bitch about it and hope somebody else fixes it. This is entrepreneurship. You find a problem and you create a solution. You need to put in your mindset that you're going to be the person that can potentially fix this. And this goes on and on. Everything from, social media, when you're going through there and you're like, hey, like Instagram, for instance. Instagram, why in the hell are you putting time restrictions on my stories, right? Why in the hell, am I limited to just that size photo square on my static wall, right? I mean, and that's a loose example, but the point is people create different things like Instagram. Here's a great one for Instagram. Why can't I simply repost someone else's post to my wall and give them credit? So the reposter app was created, right? But Instagram doesn't even build in the feature. It's insane to me. So people come up with solutions like this all the time to make things more enjoyable, better, and more efficient. You just have to train your mind to catch those moments of struggle and problem and then go, wait, this sucks. Is it something I'm interested in? Maybe, because you're owning it, using it, whatever. And can I fix this? And who else is fixing it? Is somebody already working on a fix? These are the questions you ask that get the ball rolling for what will eventually become a company. If you don't know my story, that's exactly how I founded my hummus company. Laid up at home from getting my wisdom teeth pulled out. I wanted buffalo chicken dip. Didn't have anything I could eat because it still had chunks of chicken. So I was like, well, I'll just settle for a buffalo wing hummus. Nobody made it. I was dumbfounded by that. And I said, how do all these big brands exist, but nobody's doing like the Ben and Jerry's of hummus? How fun would that be? And that's ultimately what we became. But again, it took me to stop and go, how is nobody making this? It doesn't make sense to me to realize that part. So that's the very basics of how I come with an idea. Now, I think we'll do another episode of deep diving how to find ideas, because there are some really, really kick-ass ideas on how to find ideas, how to harvest ideas, how to get inspired for ideas. I mean, that's really cool. There's a lot of great resources out there that you would be dumbfounded by to realize that all these great business ideas exist. So I'm going to write that down, and we'll save that for another one so we can deep dive just that topic specifically. But this is for people that kind of already have an idea, might have one idea on the fence, or have several ideas. And then that's the second phase here of now I have too many ideas. There's a lot of things that interest me. I'm excited about these things. And how do I pick what idea is right and which one I should actually go for? And I get this question a lot. It was actually a question I got last week, which I thought would be great to talk about on this show. And more importantly, to go live with you guys. So again, I'm watching both streams here. Thank you so much, everybody, for the comments. I'm going to try and get to those after we rock and roll through our next topic here. So you have too many ideas. It's okay. Here's the greatest thing about too many ideas. You've got a lot of arrows to launch, okay? And when you target practice with a bow and arrow, you're not going to hit a bullseye every time when you're first starting out. Maybe the first one when, you get that beginner's luck, but a lot of those arrows are going to go sailing right past the target, okay? And I want you to remember that, because that is critical, okay? Entrepreneurship is archery practice. You got a whole thing of bow or arrows on your back, and you got a brand new bow, okay? And your bow is your mind, right? And the arrow is an idea. And you're pulling an arrow, and you're putting it in the bow, and you're shooting it, and you're trying to hit a target. You're trying to hit a bullseye ultimately, and a bullseye would be the success you dream of for that idea, okay? If you've never done archery, I know you can at least follow us in this concept. If you've done archery, this will speak a lot more to you. You're going to miss that target, okay? You're going to miss that target bad. In fact, you're probably not really going to even understand how the bow and arrow works when you first start out. But you got to learn somewhere. You don't wake up or you're not born, literally good at archery. I don't care if you become one of the best archers in the world. I think that's what they call those, archers. You still have to practice. You still have to try, okay? And that's what's important. So with that being said, you're going to treat this just like learning anything new, but specifically for this conversation, archery. And you got a few arrows in the back there that are good ideas. Which one do I go for? You shoot them all, okay? You send every arrow across that field towards that target. Some are going to make it further than others. Some are going to hit the target, and some are going to ricochet off and hit a tree, and some will never even get, a foot in front of you. And that's the general idea of entrepreneurship. The whole concept is with every arrow that you shoot, you get better. You get more practice. You get more repetition. You get in the groove of things. You micro learn along the way. okay? Micro education, micro learning is massive, is imperative in entrepreneurship. Okay, there are no magic cure-all books on how to start a multi-million-dollar brand. If that was a thing, we'd have a hell of a lot more millionaires, and that would be the #1 selling book on Amazon, etc. Okay, there's several books about entrepreneurship. There's several books about business, but not one is the ultimate guide that leads you down a multi-million-dollar product path or business path or whatever. Okay, it's up to us to take those resources, those learnings, and apply them to whatever we're doing. Okay, and that's the critical thing I see constantly. People come to me all frazzled going, I've got so many good ideas, and so many, inventions and this and that. Where do I start? Well, which one do I go with? My suggestion is to launch every arrow, okay? And what that means is, so let's talk about what that means, okay? Does that mean, Jesse, I need to create, let's say 4 arrows. I need to create 4 prototypes. No. Does that mean I need to raise money for 4 companies? No. Does that mean I need to tell, 4 mentors and 4 different categories about my idea? No. Okay. You have to start the vetting process. And the vetting process is, and again, maybe I'll get into a topic of how I literally, from idea to product, work through starting a business, right? And the biggest part to me is, first and foremost, coming up with the idea, right? When I get that aha moment that I want to make a better widget, okay, I put on the glasses. Okay, metaphorically speaking, I put on the glasses, and these glasses allow me now to think and see, right, through the spectrum, the lens of a business person, of an entrepreneur. Where if I don't have the metaphorical glasses on, okay, I just see this as a product with an issue. I put the glasses on, and now I go, this is a product with an issue, but I can create a solution for it. And how do I create that solution? And where would I go to create that solution? And does anybody else want this solution? That's what these glasses see. That's what I'm looking through, okay? That might sound cheesy to a lot of you guys, but I'm trying to put this in the most comprehensive, easiest terms to remember possible. Because again, you can read a business book and a lot of it is pretty high level stuff. And if you're not into entrepreneurship, you might not follow it so easy and it might be discouraging. So when you come with that aha idea, put on your glasses, okay? And let's go to work. And when you put those glasses on, you're going to start with the most basic process. So we have 4 arrows, 4 ideas, and now we put on the glasses, okay? We're going to go into research mode, okay? And you're going to quickly discover that 4 of the arrows were a good idea, but only 2 of those arrows are probably viable. And what would discourage 4 good ideas down to 2 ideas? Or what would sort out the top 2 ideas, rather? Not discourage, but sort out the top 2 ideas. Let's look at it like this. Again, we'll use our handy-dandy back scratcher, which is, I should really find better widgets to talk about in the future. This is probably fairly easy to create, okay? So, fun fact, you could go to a place like Alibaba.com, and you can look up back scratchers, and I'm sure if we go on there, you can find a product just like this. If not this exact dang product. And all you would have to do is go a few questions further. So now I realize that I found a problem. Is it possible to make this? Okay, so I go to Alibaba now. I found a manufacturer that can make this for us. I write the manufacturer and I go, hey, I want to change the head of this back scratcher to, I don't know, scratch easier through thick t-shirts or something, right? Again, we'll find a better widget going forward. You're going to email that to them. That costs you $0 freaking dollars. Okay? So when I get people that come up to me and they're like, oh my God, I need to raise capital. I have the best idea ever. I go, cool, what are you going to spend the capital on? They don't have a clue. You don't even know what your product would cost to make theoretically. Okay? So before you get ahead of yourself and you say, holy shit, I've got the next great thing, do you though? Does somebody else already make your idea, right? That's more the research phase. So let's walk this through. Let's say we go to Alibaba. We find a manufacturer. We email the manufacturer. And now they say, you know what? We can make that head. It's going to cost you $1,500, okay, for the research and the prototyping phase. Awesome. Okay. Now you've got a number, but it cost you $0 to get to that part. So now we know it's going to cost $1,500 to fix this issue. We now know that we have a manufacturer that can make this for us. And now we have to go and figure out, do people want it? Okay. And where would you go for that? I mean, it's crazy. It's 2020. Where could I go and say, hey, everybody, if I wanted to fix this problem, would you be interested in buying this, or is this a terrible idea? If only there was a place. I'm trying to think. Anybody got any idea? Oh, yeah. Social media. Holy shit. It's worth more than just talking shit to your friends. Social media like Instagram. Social media like YouTube. Facebook. I don't care if you're on a dating app. There's people that will listen to your problems, stories, issues, and business ideas. Newsflash, social media can be used for good. How crazy. Not just a time waste, BSing with your friends and sending hilarious memes to each other. So now, again, for $0, we spend the next couple days doing Instagram polls, Facebook polls, asking everybody if they have the same issue with this product, and, oh my God, what would they be willing to pay for it? You can ask those questions. I promise you, okay, I know the one thing I'm going to get from one of you guys is, well, what if somebody steals my idea? First and foremost, we're just making a widget better. We're making a back scratcher, in this instance, a little better, okay? If someone steals that idea, obviously there's a market for it, okay? Secondly, by the time you get a patent and you get through to get a patent, is it worth it? We're going to deep dive that on another conversation. It's something I have planned, but patents are very tricky. And I'll tell you why. The top level piece of advice for patents are only as good as the people behind them. So what does that mean? If you get a patent on something, and let's say big company X that does $1 billion a year in products rips you off, do you have the money for a law firm to back you and represent you to fight that? Odds are you probably don't. So patents are more than just, well, I have a patent. Well, you have to be able to afford to enforce that patent, said patent, okay? And we'll get down the patent hole one of these days. However, let's stick on the topic at hand. We have found a problem. We have created a solution. We have gone to Alibaba. We found a manufacturer. We have now answered how much it's going to cost us to get the first order of this shipped. They're probably also going to tell you the lead times, how long it's going to take to get these products to you. So now you have an idea of how fast you can have the product made once the R&D process is made. And fun fact, they're going to tell you your MOQs, minimum order quantity. What does that mean? Okay, do I have to buy 500 of these, 5 of these, or 5 million of these? Okay, and this is still that research phase. This is what we're going to ask. These are all these questions we want to vet out and figure out, because if I can't find a manufacturer that can make me 50, I'm in trouble. Because as a young, new entrepreneur, and young, I mean like in general, inexperience, not age. I don't give a shit what age you are, okay? You can be an entrepreneur at any age, but young, inexperienced, okay, entrepreneur that hasn't done this before, you're probably not ordering 1 million of these. And I would never, ever, ever, ever recommend you ordering 1 million of anything starting out of the gates, because you don't know if it's going to work. We're building, wait for it, an MVP. Whoa, right? So you want to find a supplier that has minimal quantities. Now, but Jesse, I don't understand. You said we were going to talk about having multiple ideas, and now you've gone down the rabbit hole of creating a whole product. What happened to the other 3 ideas? Glad you asked. And you too. Here's the deal. This one doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look that hard to get off the ground, right? $1,500. We have an R&D phase. That's some money, but it's not a ton of money to risk in a business scheme. especially if I could sell 100 of these at $50, right? I don't know, 100 of these for $50. I get $5,000 back for the first 100 I sell. It's not a bad day, right? That's a pretty viable business. Where can I sell these? Facebook, Instagram, direct to consumer, Amazon. Pretty easy to understand how this thing can make you money, okay? Let's even say this idea gets sweeter and they let me order 100 at a time. And my cost of that 100 are $5 each. 500 to make 5,000. Not a bad business. That's a sweet little idea to try to get off the ground. Now, let's go to the other three ideas. And for sake of time and everyone's sanity, we're just going to go the extreme opposite. Let's say we want to create headphones. We do the same thing. Now, everything's made across the world. I used Alibaba because that's probably where a widget like this would come from. Let's say we want to make headphones. These are Sony headphones, but let's say we want these to be Wolf headphones, okay? Great. I know nothing about headphones. There's manufacturers in the United States, there's manufacturers in China, et cetera, et cetera. It's the same process. For $0, we're going to repeat this exact same process. We're going to research who manufactures headphones, where are they made, how often are they made, how much does it cost for me to make my own headphone, and how fast can I get them? What's the minimum order quantity? My best guess is for something like this, they're going to have high MOQs. For someone to go and make you a custom electronic is probably going to be in the thousands of piece per unit inventory. That would be my guess, okay? Could I be wrong? Sure. However, sake of argument, we're going to use this. So let's say we go through this and you go, well, I want, I don't know, someone naming a technology wanting a headphone. I want them to pick up, talk to text, and go to my car. Again, we're just riffing here, right? So I want to be able to do that. Wear a set of headphones to my house and say car start. That is going to be substantially expensive. So the idea is, I don't know, you're running and you want your car to start automatically, right? Maybe it's not a headphone, maybe it's an app. You're going to discover that when you start going down the rabbit hole of how do I get that technology to reach my vehicle? What you're going to find is this is probably going to cost somewhere between 50 grand, 100 grand, 150 grand to do. Now, let's say we start going on the path and we thought originally, hey, we need headphones to do this technology. So while I run, my headphones are in, I'll be able to say, you know, car unlock and start in 15 minutes when I get there. Or it's GPS driven. It knows the closer I get, it'll turn the AC on and the car will be nice and ice cold for me after I'm done with my run around the park. You're like, well, it's got to be in the headphones. But what you later find out is actually it's not the headphones, right? Because these are all Bluetooth as it is. Maybe there's a technology I can create that the car can recognize the headphone I already own, okay? Well, now you're talking about coding. And you might be a coder and you're off to the races. Or if you're like me, you have no idea about coding and you're lucky that you can use social media. And if that's the case, guess what? That business idea gets way more complex, way more expensive, which is okay, but it's a much different journey than creating a very simple widget. There is no right or wrong idea to start. They just take two substantially different paths. So when you have 4 ideas, and let's say 3 are more lower hanging fruit, and 1 is a monster idea, you have to weigh the pros and cons. 1, what do I enjoy working with the most? Which one's going to bring me the most happiness? Which one will I enjoy doing for the next how many years, right? 2, which one has the best market opportunity? So after you've researched all 4 ideas, how much did that cost? $0. $0 freaking dollars that cost, okay? Now you're going to have way more information at your hands to understand what you're about to get into. You're going to understand that, I don't know, 30 million people buy back scratchers every year. And the other one, let's say the headphone instance, how many people have this problem? You're creating kind of an entirely new category. So you have to really dig deep and start pulling people and asking people how they feel about Bluetooth technology that allows you to start your car when you get in certain feet of it. Is that needed, or are people like, absolutely not? I'll just wait till I get there and I'll suffer for 5 minutes until the car gets cold. You don't know. Or you could be the next great thing, right? One already exists and you're just simply making a product better. The other idea, you're creating an entirely new category for it. You're doing something that's never been done. And there are immense challenges with something like that, in the form of you have to educate a consumer of why they would even give a shit about that idea. You have to get in front of the consumer and tell them they need to give a shit about that idea, okay? Steve Jobs, one of my favorite things Steve Jobs always said is, the customer doesn't know what they want or need until you show them that they should want it or need it. Hence, the iPhone. We were good with buttons, but Steve was like, no, we're not good with buttons. You don't want buttons. You want a clean, sleek touchscreen. Now imagine your life without touchscreens. Imagine your life when you still had flip phone and buttons. Not that fun. So there are two different examples. Can that be done? The headphone idea, yes. All freaking day long it can. But man, you got a lot more uphill battle, and that's okay. Because the harder the entry, right, the bigger the barrier to entry, right, the bigger the market share is usually the bigger the reward, okay? Bigger risk, bigger reward. This, a widget, could have a bigger barrier to entry. It could be hard to source. You never know, depending on the widget. But if it's something simple as this, low barrier to entry, and if you go on Amazon, you're probably going to find 350 of these already being sold. Yours might be a hair better, but now you're competing on very, very tight competition, tight pricing, and you better hope your little upgrade stands out. So the pros and cons to both. So when people come to me and say, Jesse, I have all these ideas. I'm a maniac. I'm a business machine. I go, that's awesome. And I'm glad you're amped up for it. That's great. Have you vetted any of these out yet? They go, no, I don't know where to start. And now, because we recorded this, I get to tell them to go check out episode 6 of the MVP podcast /show, whatever we're creating here, for reference of how to vet out your business idea for $0. Okay. This is not a solution that will get you all the way through to the end. This is the general concept of getting an idea out of your head and onto paper that will show you how difficult the road will be, and if it's something you can tackle or would like to tackle, and what the costs associated with that are. When people come to me and say, I have an idea for this widget and I need to raise money, I go, $1,500 for R&D and $1,000 for the order. So you want to go put together a pitch deck to raise $2,500. What? If they did their homework, they would realize, oh yeah, I guess I don't need to raise money. Because their investment of $2,500 could yield them $5,000, $10,000, depending on said widget, price, sales. That's what drives me bonkers. You know, that's like the most basic primitive thing to think about in entrepreneurship is you got to understand, you got to get the thing out of your head and onto paper. When it's on paper, does it make sense? And what kind of road am I about to go down? Is there a market for there? If there isn't a market, could there be a market for there? How much money is it going to take to get this idea to an MVP phase? Okay. How much money will it generate once I get to that MVP phase? Will I need to raise money? On something like the app or the headphone idea, hey, you're probably going to need to raise money. But you can't just walk into a VC meeting and go, I am Jesse, and I have a freaking idea. They want to see that you did, holy shit, the research. They want to know about the market. It's your job to tell them how many people have this problem. How big's the market? How big's the market share? Who's the competition? Who's involved? Where can you get it manufactured? How much will it cost to get it manufactured? There's so many questions they're going to ask. And if you walk into these meetings prepared, you might just get funded. But again, for the most part, how much money do you think it costs to get to that point? $0 for the most part. It takes your time. It takes your passion. It takes not watching Netflix every night. It takes maybe not hanging out with your friends as much for a couple of weeks to get to that point. So yeah, it does cost you that. Okay. How bad do you want it? Again, what did we start off with this whole thing? Entrepreneurship is freaking awesome, but you have to be ready for it. There is no boss. There's nobody to hold you accountable. There's nobody to hold you deadlines. Nobody to give you deadlines. Nobody to reprimand you when you miss deadlines. If you miss a deadline and you're in a startup phase, you just hurt yourself. And unfortunately, there's nobody to tell you that because nobody else really cares or knows what's going on, right? That's not, and furthermore, that's nobody else's job. You wanted to be a boss, right? Here you are. So the biggest thing I could say is to end this thing on a positive note. Everybody, so many, and I forget who said this, but this is a great quote. So many incredible ideas go to the grave. I said high note. Hang on here. So many incredible ideas go to the grave. What that means is, what that translates to, a lot of people, most of us have awesome ideas for business that can change lives, change the world, bring a smile to someone's face, scratch their back just a little bit better, and they never do it. And they don't share it, and they end up dying with great ideas. And that sucks. That sucks. So don't be that person. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, okay? Friends, family, followers, foe. You got to learn to be uncomfortable. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You got 4 ideas sitting back in your quiver, okay? 4 business ideas. Shoot all 4, baby, at that target. Because with every arrow you shoot, it's repetition, it's practice, okay? The more you learn to research a business idea, you're going to get better at it. You're going to find cooler resources along the way that make this easier. You're going to understand what kind of information you need to make an educated decision that de-risks the startup to begin with. Shoot all 4 arrows, okay? And when all 4 arrows are launched, you put the bow down and you look out in the field and you go, huh, one's in the grass, one's in the trees, one's at the leg of the stand, but one is on the target. And it's become real clear that that's the idea I should go after. And that's as layman of a term as I could possibly put it as. I mean, I hope you guys follow that. And we're going to deep dive this. Like I said, I don't have a business idea to begin with. How do I find and harvest business ideas? That's going to be a badass topic we'll talk about for sure. I hope you guys had fun. To everybody that waved on Instagram, what's up? I'm sorry I went on a bit of a bender there. I didn't see too many comments. Let me see if I can scroll back through here. Oh, let's see here. Would love to hear an update on your entrepreneurial journey over the last year or so. We all know the Shark Tank story. What's new? How has COVID impacted your ODang business? Listen, COVID would be a fun topic, right? We could talk about just everything about business and COVID, how to overcome things like that. When things like, I used to get really high strung about problems. And that's what we'll talk about. Marley, thank you for that comment. Let's talk about how to deal with animosity and issues and hurdles and how to approach those. And we can even piggyback it off this conversation. But, I think we had a good talk today. I hope this helped a lot of you that have listened and joined us today and will watch this in the future. I would greatly freaking appreciate it. We're at 777 followers today on the YouTube channel. Lucky number 7. That's fun. It's going to be a good week because of that. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys smash that like and subscribe button on YouTube. I need to hit 1,000. When I hit 1,000, a lot more cooler options for broadcasting pop up. So if you know somebody that's into business at all, feel free to share this. I would greatly appreciate it. And make sure you follow on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. Follow me on Instagram. You guys rock. Keep the comments, questions, emails, and DMs coming in. This whole topic came off a DM. So you know who you are that sent that in. Thank you so much for this. I hope it really helped other people. And that's the idea. Instead of me taking time out of my day to help every single person that emails me, I don't have that kind of time, unfortunately. I wish I did, and I'm just one person. This is going to become the platform in which we can ask these questions and we can talk about these ideas, and I can help more of you at one shot. So with that being said, you rock. That's episode 6 of the MVP show, Minimal Viable Production. I love you guys, and I hope to see you again very soon, as in next Monday. See ya. Okay, we're out. Thank you, everyone on Instagram. I love you guys, and everyone that joined, you rock. Love you. See ya.